Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to stand before you today and talk about something that holds tremendous power, something that can transform our lives when we fully embrace it. That something is forgiveness. But there's a caveat to this beautiful concept that I want to explore with you today. Forgive, but don't forget. Now, forgiveness isn't always easy, is it? We've all been hurt at some point in our lives, whether by a friend, a loved one, or even ourselves. It's human nature to hold on to those painful experiences, to replay the moments of betrayal, disappointment, or regret in our minds. But let me tell you this, holding on to that pain does nothing but weigh you down. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison of bitterness, and it is an act of self-liberation. When you forgive, you're not doing it for the person who wronged you. You're doing it for you. You're giving yourself permission to let go of the past and open your heart to healing. But here's where the nuance lies. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the lessons that you've learned from those difficult moments. It doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened. Instead, forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the hold that pain has on you. It's about reclaiming your peace of mind, your joy, and your inner strength. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, how can I forgive someone who hurt me so deeply? And my response to that is, how can you not? When you forgive, you release the chains that tie you to your past. And those chains, those burdens of resentment, only hurt you, not the person who wronged you. It's like carrying a heavy bag around with you every day, but no one else can see it. Forgiveness is the decision to put that bag down and free yourself from its weight. However, here's something critical to remember. Forgiving doesn't mean allowing others to treat you poorly. When you forgive, you also gain wisdom. You understand your worth and what you are willing to tolerate in the future. You learn to set boundaries, healthy boundaries that protect your heart, your peace, and your well-being. It's important to forgive, yes, but it's equally important to learn from the experience. Don't forget the lessons that come from being hurt. Those lessons are what shape you into a stronger, wiser, more compassionate person. By forgiving, you are choosing to move forward with your life, not as a victim, but as someone empowered by their experiences. Forgiveness is a powerful force, but it's also about living with intention. It's about choosing peace over pain, love over hate, and wisdom over ignorance. By forgiving and not forgetting, you become a master of your own narrative, and no one can take that power away from you. So, my dear friends, remember, forgive, but don't forget. Release the past, learn from it, and continue to grow into the best version of yourself. Because when you forgive, you are not only freeing others, you are freeing you. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think it's simply about pardoning someone's wrongdoings or excusing their actions. But forgiveness, in its true form, is a powerful and deeply personal act that is not about condoning or excusing the hurt that was caused. It's about releasing yourself from the emotional weight that those wrongs have placed upon your heart and mind. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you approve of what they did, nor does it mean that you allow the same thing to happen again. It means choosing peace over the pain that resentment can create. When we hold on to anger, resentment, or bitterness towards someone who has hurt us, we are allowing that person to continue controlling our emotions. We are, in essence, allowing them to have power over us long after the incident has occurred. The pain they cause may no longer be physical, but the emotional burden of unforgiveness can weigh us down, influence our thoughts, and distort our perspectives. Holding on to that negative energy is like carrying around a heavy burden that no one else can see, but that drags us down every day. It affects the way we see the world, how we relate to others, and how we perceive ourselves. Forgiveness is about taking back control of your own life. It's about deciding that your peace of mind is more important than the lingering feelings of anger or hurt. When you forgive, you let go of the need for the other person to pay for their wrongs. It doesn't mean that what they did is acceptable or that you need to forget the pain they caused. Rather, it means you no longer want to carry the burden of that pain with you. You're choosing to heal, to move forward, and to not let the actions of another person define your emotional state or your future. Forgiveness also doesn't mean that you have to rebuild the same relationship with that person. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to invite them back into your life in the same way. Forgiveness is an internal process, a decision you make for your own well-being. It doesn't require the other person to apologize, to understand their wrongdoing, or to change their behavior. Forgiveness is a choice that you make regardless of how the other person responds. It's about giving yourself permission to release the past and focus on the present and future. It's also important to understand that forgiveness is not an overnight process. It's a journey. There might be moments when you feel ready to forgive, but then you find that the hurt still lingers, and that's okay. Healing takes time, and forgiveness doesn't mean you're instantly free from the emotions tied to the pain you've experienced. The key is to stay committed to the process, to recognize that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not the person who wronged you. Over time, as you choose to forgive, you'll notice that the emotional grip of that hurt starts to loosen. You'll begin to feel lighter, more at peace, and more in control of your emotions. You'll start to see that the power you once gave to someone else's actions is now rightfully yours to hold. Forgiveness is also not about forgetting. Many people say forgive and forget, but that is a misunderstanding of what forgiveness truly means. Forgetting implies erasing the past entirely, but the reality is that our memories and experiences shape who we are. What's important is not forgetting the experience, but rather learning from it and choosing not to carry the anger or bitterness that often accompanies those memories. The goal is to forgive, not so that we can forget, but so that we can move forward with wisdom, peace, and emotional clarity. In essence, forgiveness is a release, an emotional and spiritual release from the shackles of anger, resentment, and pain. It allows us to heal, to find freedom in our hearts, and to regain control over our lives. It doesn't excuse the wrongs done to us, but it does empower us to live with grace, dignity, and strength. It's a gift that we give ourselves, one that frees us to embrace life with an open heart, unburdened by the emotional weight of past hurts. Letting go is one of the most difficult yet transformative actions you can take on your journey of personal growth. It's one thing to acknowledge that you've been hurt or wronged, but it's entirely another to release the emotional grip that hurt has on you. The act of letting go doesn't diminish what happened, nor does it erase the impact it had on your life. Instead, it allows you to stop being defined by that pain, to stop allowing your past experiences to determine your future. When we hold on to grudges, we carry the weight of them every day, often without even realizing how much they are affecting our lives. That weight impacts our emotional well-being, our physical health, and even our relationships. The energy we put into holding on to anger and resentment is energy that could otherwise be channeled into healing, growth, and progress. By letting go of past hurts, we free up that energy, giving ourselves the opportunity to move forward in a positive direction. Letting go is not about forgetting or ignoring the lessons we've learned from the experience. It's about choosing to stop carrying the pain as if it's a part of who we are. When you let go, you allow yourself to release the emotional attachments to the situation, but you retain the wisdom you've gained. Every painful experience carries with it valuable lessons, even if it's hard to see them in the moment. These lessons help shape who you are, how you handle future challenges, and how you treat others. They give you insight into your own resilience and capacity to heal. Releasing the emotional hold that anger or resentment has on you doesn't mean you forget what happened or that you no longer recognize the pain caused. Instead, letting go means you refuse to let the situation continue to harm you by holding on to negative feelings about it. It's about making a conscious decision to stop letting those feelings dictate your actions, your thoughts, and your outlook on life. This is particularly important when it comes to relationships. When we don't let go of past hurt, we bring it with us into new situations. We may enter future relationships with walls built high, expecting others to hurt us in the same way we've been hurt before. This is an unfair burden to place on ourselves and others, and it often leads to repeated cycles of disappointment. By letting go of past pain, we create space for trust, vulnerability, and new experiences. Letting go isn't just about freeing yourself from emotional baggage. It's about clearing the path for the life you deserve, one filled with love, peace, and fulfillment. Letting go also opens up the possibility for self-compassion. When we hold on to the past, we often perpetuate a cycle of self-blame. We may tell ourselves that we should have known better, that we could have avoided the hurt if only we had made different choices. This line of thinking keeps us stuck in a loop of self-criticism, preventing us from growing and moving forward. Letting go means letting go of self-blame as well, recognizing that we are all human and imperfect, and that growth comes from the challenges we face and overcome. Furthermore, letting go of emotional pain can be liberating because it empowers us to reclaim our happiness. Happiness is not found in the past or in the things that hurt us. It is found in the present moment. When we cling to past hurt, we miss out on the beauty of the here and now. By releasing that pain, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully, to engage with others without the shadows of past disappointments looming over us. The process of letting go isn't always easy, and it takes time. It requires patience, self-reflection, and a willingness to be vulnerable. There will likely be moments when you feel ready to let go, only to find that the hurt resurfaces. That's a natural part of the healing journey. What matters is that you continue to choose to let go each time the pain arises. It's a conscious decision to stop allowing the past to dictate how you live today. In the end, letting go is not an act of weakness. It's an act of strength. It takes courage to face the hurt, to acknowledge the impact it has had on your life, and to choose to release it. Letting go is an act of self-care, a way of protecting your own peace and happiness. It's a reminder that no matter what has happened to you, you have the power to shape your own future. When we talk about forgiveness, it's often emphasized as an act of compassion or understanding. However, an equally important aspect that often gets overlooked is the necessity of setting boundaries, especially when we forgive someone who has hurt us. Boundaries are not about pushing people away or building walls. They are about safeguarding our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to accept ongoing disrespect, hurt, or mistreatment. It simply means you are releasing the hold that anger or resentment has over you, but it doesn't mean you should continue to allow someone to hurt you. Boundaries are essential in this process because they ensure that forgiveness does not come at the expense of your self-respect or emotional health. When we forgive, we open ourselves up to the possibility of healing and moving forward. But forgiveness should never be mistaken for permission to continue accepting bad behavior. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to invite toxic energy or unhealthy relationships back into your life. In fact, forgiving someone may sometimes mean distancing yourself from them, creating space where you can heal and protect your emotional state. Boundaries help us to safeguard our inner peace and allow us to make sure we are prioritizing our own well-being. When we forgive, we give ourselves the power to make wise decisions about how much access we give someone to our hearts, minds, and lives. Setting boundaries after forgiveness is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength and self-respect. It is an act of courage to recognize that while we may be able to forgive someone, we do not need to allow them to hurt us again. In fact, clear boundaries help to define the type of relationships we want to cultivate, and they protect us from becoming victims of the same hurt again. They empower us to take control over the way we engage with others, and they encourage others to respect our limits, our space, and our emotional needs. When we forgive without boundaries, we may unintentionally set ourselves up for further pain or disappointment. Forgiveness without boundaries can enable people to take advantage of us or repeat harmful behaviors because there are no limits to their actions. Boundaries are not about rejecting someone, but about setting a clear understanding of what behavior is acceptable and what is not. For example, if someone repeatedly lies to us or betrays our trust, forgiving them doesn't mean we should continue to tolerate dishonesty in the future. By setting a boundary, we are teaching others how to treat us with respect while also demonstrating that we value our own worth. The act of forgiveness can be incredibly freeing, but boundaries help us to protect that freedom. They help us to ensure that we don't fall back into toxic patterns or relationships that are damaging to our mental and emotional health. When we forgive but don't set boundaries, we risk finding ourselves in the same place again, allowing the same hurtful behaviors to infiltrate our lives. Boundaries give us the clarity to see what is healthy and what is not. They allow us to let go of past pain while still taking proactive steps to avoid repeating that pain. Establishing boundaries after forgiveness is also a way of showing self-compassion. It means acknowledging that you are worthy of respect, love, and kindness, and that you have the right to protect your heart. It means giving yourself permission to put your needs first and to take care of yourself without guilt. Setting boundaries allows you to honor your feelings and to build healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. It teaches others that your love and trust are not unconditional in the sense that they can be taken for granted or abused. Sometimes setting boundaries requires difficult conversations or actions. It may mean telling someone that you need space, that you can no longer accept certain behaviors, or that you need to change the way the relationship functions. While these conversations may feel uncomfortable, they are necessary for maintaining your emotional health and for building relationships that are based on mutual respect. Remember, boundaries are not about punishment. They are about creating an environment where you can thrive emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Forgiveness without boundaries can lead to cycles of hurt, but forgiveness with boundaries allows you to grow, heal, and move forward. It teaches you to value yourself, to demand respect from others, and to recognize that while you can forgive someone for their actions, you don't have to accept their behavior. By setting clear boundaries, you are giving yourself the gift of protection, peace, and emotional strength. It's not about shutting people out. It's about allowing only the kind of energy and relationships that nourish and support your well-being. When forgiveness and boundaries are paired together, they create a powerful combination that fosters healing, growth, and the creation of healthy, loving relationships. Forgiveness is not just about releasing the grip of anger or resentment. It's also about embracing the wisdom that comes from the painful experiences of our lives. When we forgive, we are not erasing the lessons learned from our struggles, nor are we pretending that the hurt never happened. Instead, forgiveness allows us to carry the wisdom gained from those difficult experiences with us as we move forward, using those lessons as tools for growth, resilience, and strength. Forgive, but don't forget means that while we release the emotional weight of the past, we do not erase the valuable insights that help shape us into wiser, more self-aware individuals. Each time we face a challenge or experience emotional pain, we are presented with an opportunity to learn about ourselves. Through hardship, we develop the ability to understand our limits, recognize our emotional triggers, and grow in our capacity for empathy. These are the lessons that are not only important for healing, but also for creating a better, more empowered future. When we forgive, we are allowing ourselves to heal from the emotional scars. But we are also honoring the lessons those experiences have taught us. Forgiving without forgetting means integrating those lessons into our lives, using them to guide us and inform our future choices. For example, when we forgive someone who has wronged us, we may learn important lessons about our boundaries, what we are willing to tolerate, what we are not, and how to communicate our needs clearly. We might realize the value of standing up for ourselves, or how to be more discerning when it comes to the people we trust. These lessons help us to grow emotionally and to navigate future relationships with greater clarity and wisdom. Forgiving does not mean allowing ourselves to be vulnerable to the same hurts again, but instead it means learning how to protect ourselves while still keeping our hearts open. The wisdom we gain from the process of forgiveness helps us to build stronger, healthier connections with others, grounded in mutual respect and understanding. Moreover, Forgiveness helps us understand that we are not defined by the mistakes of others or the painful experiences we endure. The past does not determine who we are or who we will become. The lessons we learn from our experiences are what help shape our future selves. When we forgive and hold on to the wisdom that comes from the pain, we allow ourselves to evolve and grow, rather than staying stuck in the same emotional patterns or limiting beliefs. It's through forgiveness that we unlock the potential to move forward with a greater sense of self-awareness, self-worth, and inner strength. Additionally, forgive, but don't forget, encourages us to recognize the difference between holding on to pain and holding on to wisdom. The idea is that while we release the emotional attachment to the past, we preserve the valuable lessons that help us make more informed decisions moving forward. It's not about ruminating on the hurt or dwelling on the wrongdoer's actions, but rather using the experience to become wiser and more mindful in our future interactions. For instance, if we've been hurt by someone's betrayal, forgiveness allows us to release the pain. But the wisdom from that experience helps us better understand how to establish trust in the future, and how to recognize red flags before they become full-blown issues. The wisdom that comes from forgiveness also teaches us how to embrace our humanity. We learn that forgiveness is not about perfection, but about acknowledging that we too are imperfect beings. When we forgive others, we also acknowledge that we too are deserving of forgiveness for our own mistakes. This understanding fosters a greater sense of compassion, both for others and for ourselves. It enables us to let go of the need for vengeance or retribution, and instead to approach situations with a mindset that prioritizes healing, growth, and connection. Forgiveness, when coupled with the wisdom of our experiences, also leads to a deeper sense of peace and inner calm. By releasing resentment and embracing the lessons learned from the past, we stop allowing old wounds to dictate our present and future. This clarity and peace creates space for joy, for new opportunities, and for healthier relationships. It allows us to move forward without the emotional baggage that can often cloud our judgment or restrict our potential. In essence, forgive but don't forget is a powerful way to honor both the process of healing and the valuable lessons that come with it. It's about releasing the emotional weight of past hurts, while also recognizing that those experiences have made us stronger, wiser, and more equipped to face the future with an open heart and a clear mind. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a process that invites us to embrace the wisdom we gain from each experience, to grow from it, and to carry that wisdom with us as we move forward, ready to face whatever life has in store.